One question that baffles almost all spiritual seekers is, how does the limitless being, how does the infinite self appear as the limited, finite person bound by the laws of nature? The limitless infinite being or the limitless self appears as the man and woman because of the mind. Mind is the power of the self. It is inherent in the self. See, mind does two things, because of which the infinite being, the infinite self, appears as the limited, finite person. First, it hides your true nature, just as the clouds hides the sun. And second, it projects a fictitious individuality and makes you identify with it. So first, the mind makes you forget that there is something called consciousness, which is your real nature. And second, it makes you identify with something which does not really exist, which is the mind-made individuality. These powers of the mind have been called in scriptures as Awaran and Vikshepa. Avarana means to put a veil, to put a cover on something. Just as the mind puts a veil on your real infinite nature, it covers up your infinite nature, and then comes into play the power of Vikshepa, which is projection. Mind projects the individual and makes you identify with it. What I mean by individual is the I that you identify with body and mind. And the only way to go beyond these two powers is to recognize your oneness with the witnessing consciousness. Try to bring the patterns of your mind and all the emotional patterns in the light of consciousness. Try to be conscious, try to be aware in whatever you do in your daily life. If you do so, you will slowly and gradually start to recognize the gap between the mind and your real nature, which is the consciousness. And this gap is always there. It's not that you will have to create the gap. It is always there, but it's not recognized due to strong identification with body and mind. But once you start becoming conscious, once you start becoming aware in whatever you do, you will start noticing these gaps more and more. And the day will soon come when you will recognize yourself completely apart from this body-mind complex.